We shall be discussing some of the aspects of what can be invested into. We shall be discussing the kinds of problems our companies solve. They include strategic ICT, which is the acronym for Information and Communication Technology. We also have support for great solutions, and then we will talk about the enterprise solutions that we support and how they're beneficial, and we will be showing screenshots of those as to show how it works, and they're for real and they are pretty reliable. Spatial ICT products of ours, and then after these basics related to information and communication technology, we have experience in energy, water, and food and transportation related projects, which can be expanded later after the base is complete. Our solutions provide higher security, higher performance, and higher reliability as compared to commonly available popular software solutions. We are able to provide higher reliability and higher security and higher performance because open source allows fixing of any issues due to its availability of the source code. Since the source code is available and it can be modified, and the license allows modification so the people who can fix it includes the community, the original developers, the users, the integrators, and support providers like us. Because of the fact that we are able to deliver better solutions which meet the customer's requirements in a more exacting manner, and we have experience in automation so that we reduce the amount of resources required to provide these services and products, we have the opportunity to have a larger profit margin as compared to the competition. So when it comes to providing service level agreements, we have the opportunity to charge a better profit margin as compared to the competition. In this slide, we demonstrate how much global waste on commercial softwares exist. For a lot of the categories, there are lots of better software and more reliable softwares available as compared to the popular commercial softwares that are in use. This is the amounts being spent approximately as a conservative estimate on the commercial softwares that are popular. And these are the approximate savings. We can save up to $500 billion conservatively for companies if they consider using better and more reliable software as compared to the popular software. Applied Technology Research Center is the company behind providing these kinds of services, which can provide more reliable and better software at a much better return on investment. And this company has been operating and providing highly reliable and high-performing solutions since 1992. Why should customers consider our solutions? Well, we have more than 30 years of experience in delivering high-performance, highly secure, and cost-effective solutions. We also collaborate with open source developers for enterprise-grade support. In some cases, for some products, we even provide level 4 technical support, which is not commonly available. We also have experience in providing seamless integration between the existing commercial softwares and the open source systems. This is something which is not common in open source support providers. We follow the no risk, no replace policy so that if something is working, it should not be fixed. If something needs to be improved, that is where we spend resources. And if something needs to be developed, we're not afraid to do that. So we also provide custom modules and tools tailored to the exact requirements of the customers. We also develop custom modules and tools specially designed to meet the customer's exact requirements. We provide enterprise open source support for thousands of softwares like LibreOffice, SuiteCRM, Linux, MariaDB, Nextcloud, and a lot more. And you can have direct access to the developers, and then there are also third-party developers. By combining the core developers that have actually made the software and third-party developers in case they're not available at that time, it is possible to deliver 24/7 service level agreements with support response times in less than 1 hour. In the open source community, most of the projects are divided into two different versions. One is called the stable version and one is the development version. any new code is tested in the development version. Once the code has been tested over several months, then it is moved into the stable area. And once it is put into the stable version, that is the one that is used for production systems. In ATRC, what we do is we recommend that new code is tested by admins and operations people for a whole day, and then before you leave for the end of the day, you put in the old code which is known to be working and reliable, and you do this every day for a whole week. That means you come in the morning, you put in the new code, you test it, and before leaving, since it might be a 24/7 operation, especially if it is a 24/7 operation, you do not leave any new code running until you have done this for a whole week. At the end of the week, we put the new code again, starting from the beginning of the week, and instead of taking it out in the evening, you keep it there running for the whole week. Then you know that you have tested it for separate days in the week and a whole week, and then you can leave it there. But even then, the old versions are always kept around, ready to take over in case there is any issue with the new versions. The whole idea of doing this with this method is to ensure the reliability and stability of the 24/7 operations that the systems are running. Custom development and integration is the development of spatial modules which are required by the customers for any kind of enterprise software like ERP, CRM, cybersecurity, or any kind of requirement that they might have. Another thing that we do is legacy system integration. That means if you've got like old systems running on SAP and Oracle, or maybe even mainframes from IBM, or even earlier from the 60s, and we have done that also. So what we do is we integrate those stable and running systems with the new systems, and that way you can have all components which are tried and tested and everybody's happy with them. This method is also called the no replace method, where you use whatever is already running well and you do not rip it out and replace it with something new just because it is a trend, or it is just because it is something new or something that can handle all of the requirements. But the issue is that sometimes old systems are doing the work quite well and the customer is happy with that and they want it to continue, but they want suppliers who can actually integrate the new systems with their old running components until they are ready to test new systems. And when new systems are designed and tested in such a level that everybody is comfortable with them, that is the only time the old systems should be replaced. There is another thing called hybrid solutions, where we merge open source and commercial softwares. Sometimes the commercial softwares and open source suppliers, they have a approach where they will say use one or the other. But what we do is, in the interest of the customer's requirements, we connect also open source and commercial softwares so that you can have the best of both worlds and have a seamless solution which uses the advantages of all the options available. To increase the confidence of our customers in the systems that we provide to them, we have come up with a new product and service. For those customers that have more than a 3-year support contract, we can offer them an extra service where we provide training to their employees on the systems provided to them to such an extent that within 3 years, the company can have their employees managing more than 99% of all cases related to the systems provided to them. That means their employees can handle all of the level 1, 2, and 3 support requirements, and ATRC shall only be managing the level 4 support whenever it is required. All of these features into the level of support that we provide, we do not think that this level of support can be provided by popular commercial softwares. We do not think that this level of support can be provided by systems based on popular commercial softwares only. The reason behind this is that for such detailed capability, the customer's IT department shall require skills of being able to analyze and debug the source code, which is critical for such detailed requirements. For such detailed capability, the customer's IT department will have to have the skills available and be able to analyze and debug the source code, which is usually not available in most commercial softwares. And this is a critical requirement for being able to provide this level. We, along with the open source community, on the other hand, welcome any We, on the other hand, are happy to discuss how the code can be improved and how it can benefit. We, on the other hand, welcome any would welcome any discussion on open source so that it can be improved. We, on the other Another thing to note is that most commercial softwares depend on e-commerce, which is running on open source to keep their machines running and promoting and selling the commercial softwares. So a lot of the show of reliability by the commercial software companies is mostly based on the hard work put in by the open source developers over the last 65 years. We also provide training and knowledge transfer for a lot of important courses, including business courses like navigating family businesses, logistics, document management, AI, IoT, DevOps, Linux, blockchain, digital currencies, data communications, telecom, oil and gas, solar power, water technologies, and hundreds of other courses. Our courses are available on-site, in remote workshops, or through online trainings. Due to our experience in building for telecom infrastructure and internet services, we are able to provide high reliability, higher security, and better performance because open source allows fixing any issues with the software by the community, by the users, the integrators, or support providers like us. Since we are able to deliver better using less time and less resources as compared... Because of our more than 30 years of developing products and services which are reliable, and since we are able to deliver better solutions in less time using less resources, we have the opportunity to charge more and get a better profit margin as compared to the competition when it comes to delivering service level agreements. Most of the enterprise level customers use open source solutions for security and reliability purposes. Another aspect is a cost saving, but this is not the major aspect. Now we shall be discussing some of the organizations and the cases where they have been able to save some money through the use of open source technologies. The first example is the Munich government. They saved 14 million euros by migrating 15,000 PCs from Microsoft to Linux, and they saved on licensing for Windows and MS Office. The other advantage is they have no vendor lock-in and they have full control over the updates. They have an idea of when their computer is going to update. You're not going to suddenly see updating, please do not shut off the computer. These kinds of things are also solved. Amazon, a popular e-commerce service provider, saved over $1 billion by replacing Oracle with PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL was able to reduce the administration costs also by another 75%. In some cases, they were able to get more than 10 times performance as compared to Oracle by using Postgres. Tesla, a popular EV car maker, was able to save 90% of their licensing costs using Tesla eliminated 90% of their proprietary tools licensing costs by switching. Instead of using overpriced CAD software, they switched to Blender, which is a 3D rendering software, the Python language for AI, and Linux as the operating system. They were also able to save $300 million per year in MATLAB and SolidWorks licensing costs. By developing custom open source modules, they were able to do their prototyping work much faster. The French Parliament was able to save 500 million euros by switching from MS Office and Windows to Ubuntu and LibreOffice and also Nextcloud. As I mentioned earlier, there is more reliability, higher security, and higher performance in open source. So this also had the side effect of eliminating backdoors from the commercial softwares that might exist. And this is reported by the French gendarmerie. A popular science experiment in CERN called the Large Hadron Collider, which is a fancy atom smasher, is able to save $50 million a year. Since they need very large computing capabilities, they used OpenStack and InVenue to replace expensive computing tools, and by doing so, they are able to save more than $50 million a year in licensing and software maintenance costs. This system is used by more than 23,000 scientists globally. The world's largest identification database used Linux, Apache, and MongoDB to replace Oracle and SAP, and this resulted in over $1 billion worth of savings. And this supports 1.3 billion users. The Blender Foundation has been able to disrupt a $30 billion computer graphics industry. Costly softwares like Maya or 3ds Max cost around $5,000 per user. By using Blender and other open source tools, companies in Hollywood, for example Netflix and Weta Digital Films. So the 3D graphics generation industry has been able to save over $30 billion industry-wide. We provided a CRM to a distribution company, and the overall cost of the system was less than $1,000 per year. We provided this through the IT department, and their response was that the marketing department says that over 80% of their needs were met. The reason that the cost of this system was so low is because there was no extra development and no support contract has been done as of now. So this represents a cost saving of 99% as compared to comparable solutions in the market. These cases are for IT departments which have prior experience dealing with ATRC and are familiar with the possibilities and the expected results of these technologies. For companies which have an IT department but do not have prior experience in these technologies, they can expect a saving of 70 to 90% as compared to similar solutions in the market on their first project. For companies that have an IT department and do not have prior experience in these technologies, they can expect savings of around 70 to 90% as compared to the similar solutions in the market. When spatial additional software development is added or module development is added, the savings are usually in the range of 40 to 60% as compared to the market average. However, the plus point in our solution is that it is better integrated and has way more reliability, is extremely secure. So even after saving about half of the financial resources required to deliver the solution, you're still getting a better solution. So in summary, what we are proposing is providing 2 to 5 times better deliverables at a price of around 1.5 to 2.5 times the average market cost. What this means is that the competition shall be charging 2 to 5 times more for the similar solution that we are delivering because they have extra costs like licensing. So what this means is that the competition shall charge 2 to 5 times more than what we are charging for a similar solution that what we are providing, because they have extra costs like licensing, which we do not have to worry about. So let's assume X is the deliverable amount representing 100% of what is required. Y is the amount that is usually charged as the market retail price for this deliverable. So what we are proposing is delivering 2 to 5 times of X with a price of 1.5 to 2.5 times of Y. This shall make the customer get something like 5 times the deliverable at 2.5 times the price. So it will seem like a 50% discount overall as compared to the market in terms of deliverable to the price quoted. Now we shall discuss the market size of the competition and the areas in which these technologies compete in. For example, the office software market is estimated to be reaching $33 billion by 2029. In this area, there is LibreOffice, which is quite popular, but there are also web-based softwares which we shall be considering and supporting. In the office software area, there is LibreOffice, which is quite popular and used a lot, but as usual, it is reported to be less than 0.02%. When it is actually measured, it might be a lot more than that, because usually for open source softwares, as we mentioned before, the tracking is not as much as the commercial softwares. In the desktop OS market, the Microsoft Windows has around 70% plus of the market share, and Apple has around 13% plus of the market share, while Linux is at around 4%. It may look like Linux's share is only 4%, but you have to realize that Android is actually Linux, and if you consider devices to be part of computers, then Linux's share goes up to around 50% or more. The Dolly Bar ERP is reported to have a market share of 0.02%, but as is the case with open source, it might actually be reported as lower than it actually is, because it's not really tracked as much as compared to the other softwares. Some of the ERPs that our customers use and we provide support for them include Oracle, Dolly Bar, Postbooks, ERP Next, ERP5, Open Bravo, Sage, Odoo, Xtuple, Dynamics, Front Accounting, SAP, Compare, Tiny ERP, Offbiz, Open ERP, Adempare, MetaFresh, Triton, and Excelor. And the list is growing. We have been providing support for SuiteCRM for over 20 years. It is reported to have a very small market share, but when you consider their website, you would see over 100,000 members, more than 1 million downloads, more than 5 million users, 70 languages with more than 4,500 translators, and 4,000 plus stars on GitHub. So there are two totally different perspectives. If an open source actually does monitor their users, then you will get to see a very different picture. As mentioned, Android actually holds a global market share of 71%, and Android is actually Linux. And Apple's mobile operating system is around 27%, and in some countries, Android has a market share above 90%. So if you do consider Android as Linux and all devices as computers, then then Linux's share will reach 50% or more globally. Here is an example of the top supercomputers in the world. So there is a counter for the top. There is a counter called Top 500, which measures which operating systems are used in the top 500 supercomputers in the world. As you can see, Linux's count was near zero around 1998, and then it started growing, and now by the year 2017, it had reached top 500. And by now, we expect at least the top 6,000 computers to be running Linux as far as the largest computers in the world goes. This is the detail. So you can notice that in November 2017, this was the month in which Linux reached 100% of the top 500. And when you notice, Linux was created in 1992, but in 6 years, it reached one of the computers in the top 500. Yeah, in around 25 years, Linux was able to go from being born to reaching all top 500 computers in the world, the largest ones. This is a graph of the Apache web server. So you can see that the blue line is Apache, and these are the other servers. Yeah, it started around 1994, and then now we are having Nginx at 33%, Apache at 22%. This might be a proprietary server, which is 20%. This is a content delivery network, and IIS is 6 and Lightspeed at 4. I'm not sure if Lightspeed is open source or not. Okay. Open Project is a popular open source project management software that can do almost everything that is required for managing projects. The software that we support for human resource management is called Orange HRM, or similarly, in the commercial space, it is known to have a market penetration of less than 0.1%. So the trend appears. If you ask the open source people that do track their software, they will show that it has quite a large market share. And if you ask the commercial area that are not really tracking the software, they will say it is less than 0.1% for any kind of open source software. We believe that the business owner is the person who is the most interested in improving their business, and also that they understand that a serious supplier with a serious product and with delivering serious results and with a track record of delivering highly reliable, high performing and better solutions is better for their business than a supplier that has a more hyped up product and maybe a more selling product in the market. From experience, they know that creating hype is easy because it just needs some advertising, but delivering consistent results to customers requires efforts beyond what the common competition is doing, and that is the way we work. Now I shall explain some of the softwares by showing you screenshots of these softwares, so you have a much better idea of what they look like and what kind of functions they do. I shall be starting with Suite CRM, which is a customer relationship management software. This is the view of the accounts. Accounts are those customers that are paying customers. This is a dashboard which shows the leads. A dashboard can be configured by every user according to what they want to see on their dashboard. This is a view of the modifications to different modules that can be done by the administration. This is the list of the leads. Leads are potential customers which are not currently paying customers. This is the details of a lead. You can create your own surveys, put on the web so customers can fill them out. Email campaigns can be created, and this is how a template looks like for creating an email. Other than that, you can also create email templates so that when you're sending emails, specific emails to customers, you don't have to make the whole email again. In marketing and sales, there is a concept of a sales funnel. You start off with leads and then you end up at the closing. In the beginning, there is creation of awareness of your products and services to the customers, and then at the end, it is the decision by the customer to purchase your product. This is another view of the sales funnel and its stages. The sales funnel is used to visualize to the salespeople and the marketing people as to how the sales process is done inside a CRM. Now I shall be showing screenshots of Dolly Bar, which is an ERP. This is a dashboard view. This is the view of an invoice. You can categorize. This is a view of the product categories. There is a calendar view for tasks that are being tracked. In Dolly Bar, members is designed for managing memberships, associations, or clubs, anything that requires tracking of member subscriptions or renewals. This is an image of a global map of the members and where they are located. This is a view of an invoice. This is the data view of an invoice. This is what the point of sale looks like. Now I shall be showing some screenshots of the operating system. This is an example of a program that takes a screenshot. Usually these programs are available in almost all distributions of Linux. All you have to do is press the print screen button and a window like this will pop up. No configurations required. This is a view of Garuda Linux, which is based on Arch Linux. This is a view of the desktop of a popular distribution these days called Ubuntu. This is the view of which programs the user wants to have started when they turn on their computer. One of the most popular distributions nowadays, according to DistroWatch, is Linux Mint. We used this around 10 years ago as our main distribution. This is what the desktop of Deepin looks like. This one is designed to make it look nice and easy for new users. Now I shall be showing screenshots of Open Project, which is the project management software. This is the view of the overview of a project. This is the view of the work packages inside a project. This is the details of a work package. This is the view of a dashboard of a sprint. This kind of view is called a Kanban board. It helps teams track work in progress during a sprint while applying Kanban principles like limiting the amount of work in progress. This is a Gantt chart view of a project. These days, there is a popular software as a service called Jira. It is easy to convert the data from Jira to Open Project in case a company wants to convert from Jira to Open Project and run their own server. This is the view of a Kanban board. Another view of work packages. Now I shall be showing screenshots of the human resource management software. This is the login screen. This is how you add a user. There is an app available on Android for Orange HRM. This is what the app's view looks like. This is a list of actions. This is another view of the mobile. A view of the system users. Configurations of users' roles. work shift view, how to add a work shift, how to add an employee, a view of the leaves by a user, the monthly leave calendar, data exported into a comma-separated value timesheet. Now I shall be showing Nextcloud, which is a document management system. This is a view of the files. The pictures album, a deck view. You can create decks similar to Kanban boards. This is the opening screen, or sort of like the dashboard. This is a view of the files. This is the view of the email opened inside Nextcloud. This is a view of the modules that can be activated via the administration. This is a view of the tasks, sort of like project management. This is a view of the media. You can have pictures and videos in the media area. This is a view of the activities. It shows what is going on with the files. This is a view of the contacts. The advantage of this is you can create a shared address book for the people inside the companies, and you can have multiple address books which you can share with different users. This is a view of the calendar. You can create calendars and then you can connect them to other email softwares and scheduling softwares so that you can have a single calendar with everything in it. This is a view of the analytics. Here you can create workflows. You can also collect all of your bookmarks. This is an example of the creation of a newsletter which can be sent to customers. There is a notes feature, and there is a separate Android app for notes, so that you can actually create notes in the mobile and they will be synchronized into the Nextcloud. You do not have to have the internet available to use the applications. What the application will do is allow you to create notes or files depending on the type of application it is, and then when you do get access to the internet, it will actually synchronize the files. This is the connection of Nextcloud with Open Project, so that inside Open Project you can actually link Nextcloud files to tasks. That way all of the files related to a task can be stored in Nextcloud and be linked just directly from the task itself. This is the announcement screen where you can send an announcement to all of the Nextcloud users that you have. There is a collectives feature in Nextcloud which sort of acts like a wiki. It is useful for teams and organizations and communities to have a way to share knowledge and documentation about a project. It can be used for team documentation, creating wikis, creating knowledge bases, or creating community-driven documentation about any project. Here is a comparison of the collectives with other softwares like Wiki or Google Docs. After seeing the presentation and the possibilities, I hope you can see some of the possibilities and the kinds of things that can be done with these enterprise softwares. They are highly secure and reliable. They are very high performing. So they can be depended on to do the company's tasks. And what we do is provide support, backup, training, and all of the features required to make sure that they run well. For traction, we have done the following. We have two companies. One is the original ATRC, which is Applied Technology Research Center. We have it running since 1992, and now it is the incubator for all projects and companies. Remote Support LLC, which started in May 2024. The shares that we are offering are available currently in this company. We have 2 advisors for remote support. We have a full-time founder, and we have 6 committed team members. We have multiple customers, and more customers are in the pipeline. What we do is more than 3-year plus subscriptions for managed ICT services for companies that have more than 20 computers. This is our target market, and we also provide software as a service servers for the customers with at least 1-year contracts. Extra tech support is available on hourly rates for all customers. Training services for courses based on what the customer needs. We also have a service where we analyze all of the IT related stuff that is available inside a company, and then we create the training for every component that is inside the company and then provide it to their IT department and their users. Sometimes we do projects and create products and services based on the customer's needs. A lot of the projects related to these enterprise softwares would be some configuration or maybe modification or creating of new modules for the customers. Sometimes we make completely new products and services for customers, but they need to have a serious budget and a serious issue to be resolved for this kind of work to be done. Our go-to-market strategy is to partner with computer-related shops in different cities and countries, make them agents for our products and services, like other companies do, for example, Cisco, Microsoft, Samsung, and Apple. But the difference is we are more software focused and we are more like Oracle and Microsoft as compared to pure hardware companies. And one of the things we learned from Microsoft is that they are not great in almost any of the product that they do, but they do get $3 trillion worth of sales from the market, and the way they do this is by bundling different products. So their products are not number one, but they bundle many of those products together to create an offering that looks way better than what the market is offering. Even though our products are pretty good, we still are using this technique to bundle them initially for the first few years so that it looks like a better offer compared to what the competition is offering. The reason for this strategy is to increase revenues early on. Our competition, as far as we know, depends on fear, uncertainty, and doubt to sell their popular and common products. Usually, the common and popular suppliers do not innovate as fast as the flexible solution providers do. The older, larger companies usually have investors who are interested in getting a profit on the short term. For example, like Boeing, they focus on keeping the old technologies alive instead of moving on. We are more like Tesla, so we innovate faster, way faster than the competition, so that we do not have to worry about old products. We innovate very fast, like the Tesla model, and the idea is to innovate faster than the competition, so we do not have to worry about the old products that the competition is offering. The Tesla policy was announced in 2014. The idea is that if you want to share patents with them, you also have to open your patents. We can implement a similar policy if needed, but we have not done so because we are too early in our growth stage to be able to make a decision on this matter. So our current policy is to keep making and growing our patents as we develop new products. For now and in the future, we can use our patents as leverage for marketing or understand their use cases as we go along. We do see the potential for large profit margins in our products and services if we have a larger customer base. We already have more than 30 years of experience in delivering 20x or more return on investments to our customers compared to the cost of the solutions that we provide. So we are confident that we can provide a large enough margin for our investors to get a great dividend. Currently, we are offering shares at what we call the 6-25-75 calculation method. This means there is a 6% preference per year, which is not compounded but deferred, and any profits above 6% are divided into 4 parts, 25% for each part, 25% for the general partner and 75% for the investors. So anything that is available above 6% per year is divided 25%, 75%, which is 75% for the investors and 25% for the general partner. This dividend method was inspired by learning from Warren Buffett's dividend method approach. We think this is a fair offer and it is stable because we believe that Mr. Buffett has a lot of experience in structuring stable long-term deals. This offer also provides a minimum of 6% per year, not compounded, to cover almost all of the devaluations and the currency inflation that is usually experienced in markets. And the rest of the dividend is provided to the investors at 75%. The general partner only gets a payment if the profits and dividend available are above 6% per year, after considering all of the years earlier. So if there was no dividend or less than 6% in any of the previous years, that has to be covered first, and then the rest is divided 75-25. To kickstart the funding process, we are offering very high to high preference shares, and these shares are available for up to $26,000. So for the first $26,000, we are offering these very high preference shares. The reason for offering these very high percentage preference shares is to get things moving earlier instead of waiting for hundreds of thousands of dollars in angel investment funding. This is needed to scale up the main business office and get the founder to be able to spend on marketing and expanding the paperwork and licensing which is needed to keep the companies operational. The initial amount of $26,000 is expected to be enough for about 2 years of basic operations because the current system is quite efficient. The priority is to get more paying customers with 3-year contracts so that the investors can see the results and see how happy the customers are with the products and services. After the $26,000, there is another $300,000 of shares available with the 6-25-75 dividend rates. The investors for these shall be provided non-voting preference shares. The $300,000 amount is suitable for the angel investor type investments. Beyond this amount, we have not decided an offering yet because this amount could last for over a year. And scaling too fast can be inefficient in terms of resource usage. If some private equity type investors want to invest more than $1 million in projects, we have 2 types of projects available. One is solar power projects and the other is value investing of shares. We have learned this value investing and tried and tested these systems over the last 30 years. And we have tested them practically over the last 5 years to confirm that they work. However, these 2 areas are not our priority because we want to focus on the high return technology related projects first. If private equity investors do want to invest, then there are these 2 options available, and we would set them up more like a joint venture, and the investors would have our companies as consultants or guides for the companies that are run as a joint venture. For details on how to invest in the high percentage preference shares or the 6% shares or in joint venture projects, please contact me on hover@remote-support.space. Our websites are also mentioned here. Thank you for taking the time to see our presentation. We hope you will contact us soon regarding investments or the utilization of these beneficial technologies in your companies.